You're standing in a room with 1,000 mirrors. Each one reflects a different version of yourself. The one who smiles at strangers while calculating their weaknesses. The one who knows exactly why you said yes when you meant no. The one who watches your own performance in real time, critiquing every word, every gesture, every micro-expression. Most people never enter this room, but you did. And now you can't leave. This is the curse of hyper-awareness, the psychological phenomenon that turns your greatest gift into your most profound prison. Welcome to the dark side of seeing too much. Let's talk about what happens when consciousness becomes a weapon pointed at itself. Self-awareness is sold to us as enlightenment. Know thyself, they say. Examine your thoughts. Understand your patterns. But there's a threshold. A point where awareness stops being liberation and becomes surveillance. Where you no longer living your life but watching yourself live it through a pane of glass you can never break. Psychologists call this metacognition run amok. The recursive loop where you think about your thinking, then think about thinking about your thinking, spiraling inward until there's nothing left but the observer observing the observer. No experiencer, only the witness, and the witness is cold. Here's what they don't tell you in the self-help books. Extreme self-awareness doesn't make you more authentic. It makes you the world's best actor. You become so conscious of how you're perceived that every interaction becomes theater. You're reading micro-expressions while controlling your own. Calculating social dynamics while performing spontaneity. Analyzing power structures while pretending you're not. It's exhausting. Because when you can see the strings, you can't unsee them. When you understand the game, you're forced to keep playing it even when you're alone. Especially when you're alone. This is where it gets darker. The hyper-aware individual develops what we at Symbolism Decoded identify as split consciousness. Part of you is living. Part of you is documenting. You're at dinner with someone you love, and while you're smiling and nodding, there's another you taking notes. Recording their tells, cataloging their vulnerabilities. Not because you're malicious, but because you can't turn it off. The pattern recognition never stops. You see the manipulation in kindness, the transaction in every gesture, the self-interest buried in altruism. And worst of all, you see it in yourself. Here's the question that should terrify you. If you can see all your own manipulations, all your own self-deceptions, all the ways you perform, and posture and position yourself, are you more free or more trapped than the person who doesn't see any of it? Think about that. Because the unaware person at least gets to believe in their own authenticity. They think their kindness is pure. Their love is unconditional. Their choices are free. But you know better. You've seen behind your own curtain. And there's no Oz back there, just more machinery, more patterns, more programming running programs. The Machiavellian truth embedded in extreme self-awareness is this. It gives you power over others while simultaneously destroying your power over yourself. You can read people like open books, predict their responses, manipulate outcomes, but you can't believe in your own story anymore. Every emotion you feel is immediately labeled, categorized, and filed away as biological machinery. Anger becomes a cortisol spike. Love becomes oxytocin and projection. Purpose becomes a narrative your brain constructed to justify its continued existence. You become a ghost in your own machine, watching the gears turn, unable to stop analyzing long enough to simply be. And here's the cruelest irony. The more aware you become, the more isolated you get. Because you can't connect with people who don't see what you see. Their concerns feel trivial. Their certainties feel naive. Their emotional reactions feel like watching children argue about which imaginary friend is real. But you also can't connect with others like you. Because two hyper-aware people in the same room is just mutual X-ray vision. You're both seeing through each other's performances. Both aware the other is aware. Both performing awareness of the other's awareness. It's mirrors reflecting mirrors. No solid ground anywhere. So what's the answer? Can you have too much consciousness? Is there such a thing as knowing yourself too well? Most psychological frameworks won't touch this question because it undermines the entire therapeutic model. The idea that awareness always leads to healing, that understanding always leads to freedom. But what if that's the biggest lie we tell ourselves? What if some doors, once opened, should have stayed closed? What if the examined life isn't always worth living, but the person who's examined it can never go back to not examining? Here's what we know. The brain isn't designed to watch itself this closely. Consciousness evolved to navigate the world, not to navigate itself. When you turn that spotlight inward and never turn it off, you create feedback loops that weren't supposed to exist. You become the snake eating its own tail, aware of eating, aware of being aware of eating, aware of the awareness of the awareness. Infinite regress with no bottom. The dark side of self-awareness isn't that you see your flaws. It's that you see the mechanism that produces the seer. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. You're awake in a way that doesn't feel like awakening. It feels like insomnia. Permanent, existential insomnia. Where sleep would mean returning to innocent engagement with life. But you've lost the ability to be innocent. So you stay awake, watching, always watching. The question isn't whether you can handle this level of awareness. You're already here. The question is what you do with it. Do you use it to control? To withdraw? To become the puppet master who knows they're also a puppet? Or do you find a way to dance with the paradox? To be aware and engaged simultaneously? To see through the illusion while still honoring it? That's the razor's edge. The path that almost no one walks successfully. But it's the only path that doesn't lead to complete dissolution. Because the alternative is becoming pure observer. And the observer, left alone long enough, disappears into its own transparency. You've seen the dark side now. The cost of consciousness that nobody warned you about. If this resonated, you're already too far in to pretend otherwise. Subscribe to Symbolism Decoded. We decode the patterns others are afraid to name, because someone has to stay awake. Even if awake means seeing things you can never unseen. The mirror room is real, and you're already standing in it.